right. So today we're going to really dive deep into the career of Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And, based on all the research that you shared with me, it seems like what really fascinates you is how he's achieved this like sustained success and this huge impact.
Exactly.
Right. And how do you stay at the top of your game for so long?
Yeah. And the stuff that you sent me really shows, the story of how he navigated this really complex world and how he stayed relevant for, decades.
Yeah. And it seems like our goal today should be to try to really extract the core principles of his vision, how he overcame obstacles, his innovative approaches, how he's adapted, and his role as a mentor to other people.
I think that's a great plan.
Right. Okay, so let's jump in.
Let's do it.
So right off the bat, what I think is so interesting is how the stuff about his early life really sets the stage for everything that comes later.
I completely agree.
So reading through this material, it's oh, wow, Brooklyn hardship, financial struggles, personal difficulties.
Yeah.
But what's so fascinating is that his early connection to comedy wasn't just him wanting to be funny.
Right.
It was almost like he identified right from the start that humor is something people really need.
Totally.
Especially when they're going through tough times.
Yeah, it's like relief.
Right.
And joy in the midst of really difficult circumstances.
And he seemed to pick up on that right away.
Yeah, and you can see it in the material, when it talks about how his ambition wasn't just oh, I want to be famous.
Right.
It was really connected to
excelling at his craft. Doing it at a really high level.
Right, and bringing something meaningful, to his audience.
And I was thinking about that in my own life.
Yeah.
When you go through difficult things early on, it can kind of light a fire under you.
It's true.
To make a difference somehow, right? So it's maybe that's where that really intense drive of his comes from.
Yeah. And that definitely comes through in his comedy, when you look at how he...
Yeah, how he developed his style.
Yeah.
So it's
this blend of, observing everyday life and finding the funny in it.
And that kind of absurd, the unexpected.
Yeah.
Right? But it's all done with this crazy energy.
Incredible energy.
Right. And so it's you read that and you're oh, he's taking those experiences.
Yeah.
The stuff he's seen, the stuff he's lived, and he's turning it into this
raw material for his comedy.
Yeah, for his own unique voice.
Right.
And there's also these really fascinating connections in the research to some of his comedic heroes.
Yeah.
People who inspired him.
Right. And these are people who also
came from struggle.
Yeah, who had to overcome their own personal challenges.
And they figured out a way to turn that pain into something universal.
Into laughter.
Into something people could relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that connection, I feel, is so crucial.
It's like a lineage almost.
Right.
Passing down this...
It makes you think how much do those early influences stay with an artist?
Exactly.
Even when they get to the top.
Even when they reach those incredible heights.
How much of that is still part of them?
Yeah, it's fascinating.
But it wasn't just about being a fan of comedy. He was out there.
Doing it
right from the start.
Hustling.
So the research talks about him developing this entrepreneurial spirit super early on.
Yeah.
Performing in clubs.
Local clubs.
Even makeshift stages. He's not waiting around for anyone to give him a chance.
He's creating his own opportunity.
Right. It's total DIY.
Absolutely.
That self-starting, get it done attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It's so clear from the beginning.
Right from the start.
And that early hustle. It
says so much.
It says so much about his commitment.
About his drive.
Right. It wasn't just oh, I got lucky.
Right.
He put in the work.
He honed his craft.
Right.
However he could.
And then, of course, comes SNL.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live.
That must have been a huge shift.
Monumental.
Real turning point.
Right. And what's interesting is the research points out it wasn't just about him.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a personal victory for him.
Right.
Even then, his vision was bigger.
It was.
It seems like it included wanting to open doors for others.
Right.
Advocating for more diversity.
Absolutely.
From the very beginning.
From the start.
It's pretty forward thinking.
It is, yeah.
Especially for someone so young in their career.
It suggests a real awareness of the bigger picture.
Which I think leads us perfectly into the whole idea of breaking barriers.
Right.
Because let's face it, there were some huge racial and industry obstacles that he had to overcome.
Yeah, the playing field was not level.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Right. And so his impact on SNL is huge.
It was groundbreaking.
All right. It wasn't just about one talented guy succeeding. It was about challenging these deeply entrenched stereotypes and showing everybody that people want to see.
They want to see
diverse voices,
adverse perspectives,
different stories.
Absolutely.
And the research really digs into his approach to it all.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just that he was naturally talented.
Right.
It was that insane work ethic
combined with
really smart choices about the roles he took on.
Yeah, like he was strategic. It's about showcasing what he could do.
Right. And so you get movies like 48 Acres.
48 Acres, Beverly Hills Cop.
Right. Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah. Huge. And those are pointed out as like key examples of him proving that an African-American actor could be front and center,
good lead
in a major studio film, and like be a box office smash.
And just kill it.
Right.
And it wasn't just about his comedic talent.
No.
He was a compelling leading man.
Right.
He could do the action, he could do the drama.
Right.
And of course, nail the comedy.
And so it's like, that really breaks down those limited roles. Right. That actors of color have been stuck with.
Yeah, absolutely.
For so long. And it wasn't just film either.
No.
The research emphasizes that he was killing it in stand-up television. This trifecta.
Yeah.
Right? And that really highlights how adaptable and versatile he is.
Exactly.
It seems like he made a conscious choice to work across all those different mediums.
I think so.
To avoid being put in a box.
Right.
Like typecast.
You're too funny to do this. You're too dramatic to do that.
Exactly.
Right.
And it was a really smart move because
it paid off.
It paid off big time.
Yeah.
Right. And so by showing his talent in all these different areas, he not only like broadened what he could do himself, but he also subtly shifted how the industry viewed what black actors could do.
Absolutely.
And that broader impact, I think,
is so significant.
It's really the point here.
Yeah.
Like his influence goes way beyond his own achievement.
Right.
He was pushing for greater inclusivity.
Exactly.
It's like he's not just climbing the ladder.
He's making it wider.
He's making the ladder wider.
Right. So more people can come up.
Right.
Yeah.
So that really shows, you know, a deeper level of understanding of where he fit in the industry.
Yeah, he wasn't just a performer.
Right.
He was a cultural force.
Right. Which kind of brings us to this idea of innovative leadership.
Okay.
Because, you know, the research argues that he didn't just break down those existing barriers.
Right.
He actually like reshaped comedy itself.
He changed the game.
Right. He brought this new energy, a sharper edge.
Yeah.
Even deeper storytelling.
Right.
So like, for example, a stand-up.
Yeah.
It was so raw and observational.
Yes, it was.
Like no one had really seen that before.
It felt so fresh.
Right. And then he managed to take that energy and those insights
and translate them
into film.
Yeah.
So you get Beverly Hills Cop, Coming to America, even later, like Shrek. And the research highlights how he was able to combine that humor with these really strong stories.
Compelling narratives.
Right, and it broadened the appeal of these comedic films.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just about laughing at jokes.
Right.
There was something more there.
More depth.
And what I think is so fascinating is that he wasn't afraid to take creative risks.
Right.
He explored these complex characters and themes.
Even within comedy.
Within comedies.
Yeah.
And that led to, you know, more nuanced representation on screen.
Right.
And it makes you wonder if, like, that early vision of his, like, wanting to make a difference, wanting to be excellent at his craft, drove that willingness to push the boundaries.
It seems like they're connected.
Like, they're linked somehow.
Absolutely.
The research also points out his influence behind the scenes as a producer and a writer.
Right.
So he was actively shaping his projects.
He wasn't just showing up and performing.
Right. He was involved in the whole creative process.
That's key.
It's like that level of involvement is really important for true leadership.
It gives you control.
Right. It gives you the power to make sure your vision gets realized.
Yeah. And he also tackled some really important issues.
Yeah.
Like racial and social issues.
Right. And he did it.
With humor.
With humor and intelligence.
A powerful combination.
Right. He made people think while they were cracking up.
That's amazing.
So the research specifically mentions how he developed his characters.
Yeah.
Like Prince Akeem and Donkey. They weren't just like comedic stereotypes. They had depth.
They have real emotion.
They were multidimensional.
Well, and that's why people love them.
Right. And so it's like he moved beyond these simplistic portrayals.
Yeah.
and allowed audiences to connect with those characters.
On a deeper level.
On a deeper level. And when you think about the bigger picture, his impact on how African Americans are portrayed in film and television,
it's undeniable,
is huge. Right? He blew open the types of roles that were available.
To challenge those stereotypes.
Challenge those stereotypes head on.
Yeah.
And so all of that leads us to, I think, a really important part of having a long career.
What's
like a long and impactful career? Adapting to change. Right? And somebody like Eddie Murphy.
Absolutely.
With decades of success, clearly gets this.
He understands it.
Right? Because the entertainment industry
is constantly changing. Yeah.
And what's so remarkable is that he didn't just navigate those changes. He thrived.
He thrived in the midst of all the changes.
The research really emphasizes how he was able to move so smoothly between stand-up, different film genres.
Comedy, drama, family entertainment.
Right. He was not going to be pigeonholed.
No.
It seems like he was always looking for new challenges. To avoid becoming predictable.
Absolutely.
And the research points out how he evolved as the media landscape changed.
Right.
Like with digital platforms, streaming services. He didn't just sit back and say, hey, I had my run.
He kept going.
He kept going, right. And he found new ways.
New ways to connect with audiences.
To connect with people. And a great example of that is voice acting. Shrek. Right, that introduced his talent.
To a whole new generation.
And it's interesting because it was a totally different kind of performance.
That was.
And he nailed it.
He did.
Right, so that just shows you how talented he is.
Right.
The research also talks about how he revisited and like refreshed some of his earlier work. Like Coming to America.
Right.
For a modern audience. So it's like this mix of nostalgia and innovation.
That's a good point.
Seems to be really key to staying relevant.
To staying in the game.
For a long time.
Yeah, he found that sweet spot.
Right. He understands his legacy, but he's also moving forward.
He's staying current.
And keeping up with how tastes change.
This hard balance to strike.
And he seems to have done it.
He's done it really well.
Really well. Okay. And so this brings us to mentorship and influence.
Right.
Like when you have a career this big, this long,
this impactful,
you're going to have a big impact on the people who come after you.
Absolutely.
Right. And the research really emphasizes his role as a mentor. And an influence on the next generation.
Especially for
comedians.
Comedians and actors of color. His
whole career basically became this symbol of what's possible.
Right.
If he can do it, maybe I can too.
That's a powerful message.
Right. And so it's like his journey becomes this inspiration. And a roadmap for other people.
A blueprint.
Right? And it's not just like, oh, I'm inspired by him from afar.
No.
The research talks about how he directly supported and guided younger talent.
Gave them advice.
Shared his experience, shared his wisdom. And that kind of one-on-one mentorship
is so valuable.
Can be invaluable.
People starting out.
Right. And he also like actively created opportunities for others.
He did.
So like casting up-and-coming people in his projects. Collaborating with new artists.
Right.
It's like he was really invested in the future of the industry.
Absolutely.
Not just his own success.
He wanted to lift others up.
Right. He used his position to create a pathway for other people.
For the next generation.
Right. So as we kind of like wrap up this whole deep dive into Eddie Murphy.
Right.
What are like the big lessons that we can take away?
I think there are a few key themes that really stand out.
Okay.
First, the importance of having a clear vision.
Right.
And often that vision is rooted in those early life experiences.
Right, like we were talking about.
Exactly.
Okay, so clear vision, number one.
Then you need that resilience to overcome obstacles.
To face those challenges.
The personal ones, the professional ones.
Right.
And then there's the innovation. Like pushing the boundaries.
That willingness to experiment.
And to shape the field.
Right. He didn't just accept comedy as it was.
He changed it.
And then, of course, we have to talk about his ability to adapt.
Right.
To stay relevant.
Over decades. Absolutely.
And then finally, that commitment to mentorship. To helping other people.
Bringing others up.
Right. And so all of these things
all tie together.
They tie back to that original question of like, how do you achieve sustained success?
And have a real impact.
And have a huge impact.
Yeah, and it's clear from Eddie Murphy's story that these qualities aren't separate.
Right.
They work together.
It's like this whole ecosystem.
Exactly.
Right, and it's a reminder that success isn't about one big moment.
It's
about the long game.
It's a process.
A process of growth.
Of adaptation.
Right, and that commitment to something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Eddie Murphy, I think the takeaway is really powerful.
It is.
Like, we've seen how his vision, shaped by his early life, gave him the strength to overcome obstacles.
Yeah.
His innovative spirit.
Changed comedy completely.
Yeah. And his ability to adapt.
Kept him going.
Kept him relevant.
Yeah.
And then, of course, his commitment to mentorship.
Right.
Shows how important it is to give back.
Yeah, to help create the next generation.
And it's really amazing how all of those things, vision, resilience, innovation, adaptation, mentorship, work together.
They're all connected.
Yeah. So on that note, I wanted to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
Like, think about your own early experiences. How have they shaped your vision for what you want to achieve?
Yeah.
What obstacles are you facing?
What are you uniquely positioned to overcome?
Right. What unique challenges can you tackle?
Good question.
What new skills do you need to develop to really have a long-term impact? And then, who can you mentor?
Who can you help along the way?
Right. Who can you support?
Yeah, it's about taking these principles and applying them to your own life.
And figuring out
how to cultivate that vision, build that resilience,
embrace change,
and support others.
Right, so I encourage you to think about people you know.
Yeah.
Who've achieved similar things.
Who have that vision and that adaptability.
And think about how they did it.
Yeah.
What specific strategies did they use?
What can we learn from them?
Exactly. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. It's been great.
It's been really fascinating.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
I have too.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, well, we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.